To win a poker tournament, you have to have chips. So when I looked down at my last two big blinds on day 2 of a massive tournament, I could literally feel any hope I had of winning slipping away. Until I picked up a hand that couldn't lose. Time to play a 600 deep stack tournament. Let's go. When a poker vlogger sits down at the table, it's a little different than your average player sitting down. Now, I don't say this to complain. I just say this to mean that when I sit down in this particular tournament, I was fumbling with my camera, trying to get set up while cards were being thrown at me. And then I realized that I was actually gonna have one more thing to deal with as well.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
You don't even call me you are here.
Are you in this table?
They gave me the option, the same table or here.
Hell yeah.
I see you, I think you will.
Yeah, you got it. A super funny older gentleman that I'd actually played the entirety of yesterday's tournament with sits down at my table.
He's too good, he's too good. Second one. I lost a big hand.
Then one of my favorite Borgata dealers, who's actually recently been promoted to the floor, comes over, and I take this as the perfect opportunity to find out how many bullets Papa Americano is really on. Greg, how come this hooligan's allowed to sit here? He's in for 12 bullets. That should be illegal at this point. Anyway, our strategy today is going to be focusing on making sure we only play premiums. Or so I thought. In actuality, after this interaction, my strategy completely changed.
Clock. Come on, Poppy. I just said you were being good and then now you're falling asleep over here. 6,000. Come on, call me.
Papa Americano raises to 6,000, literally for the sole purpose of tilting Nikki P. At this blind level, that pretty much makes my hand completely unplayable. But with Nikki P riling up Papa Americano, I'm optimistic that we can play some big pots in the future. Until Papa Americano is an unfortunate victim of trips into a straight. Yeah, that's super unlucky.
Who's open-ended?
Anyway, I only kind of bring that stuff up to show you the vibes at the table.
We have the goodest boy behind us. Oh my God.
Baby. Hi, cutie. Oh my God. We also have a genius over here. I've never seen anything like this. But this guy is on to something. I'm really glad I'm not at that table. In the next hand that I play, the shenanigans are still at level 100. Nikki P's to my left yapping about these secret massage parlors. Don't ask.
Yeah, you need someone
How
to walk
many
on
people
your back.
have you had walk on your back? That's a follow-up question.
I mean, I've had my walk back, my back walked on like a good amount of times.
Well, I'm focusing on raising the cutoff with 7-8 of clubs before the big blind makes the call. The flop is ace 4-3 with 2 clubs. And when the big blind checks to me, I think we can definitely get away with a bet here. I make it 3,500 and the big blind quickly makes the call. And even though I expected the conversations to be kind of off the rails at this point, I really didn't expect the hand to go off the rails. Until my opponent did this. The turn is the 7 of diamonds, and now my opponent leads for 10K. In theory, I should have turned more out, so I make the call. And the river is the absolutely magical 5 of clubs. He once again leads out for 15K. And at this point, I think we only have one option. I have 41,000 chips behind, and they are all going in the middle. He quickly makes the call and shows me a straight. And at that exact moment, Nikki flashes me some side-eye. Oh, Nikki.
That might look terrible though. Don't put me in there.
You stick your head in it, you're going in it, kid.
What a river, huh?
I know. I mean, at least we can agree on that last point. That was definitely a crazy river. Now, I'll be honest, at this point, I don't play a hand for a while. But with 18 seconds left remaining in the level before we went on a 45-minute dinner break, I get dealt pocket 7s in the big blind. It folds to the small blind, who raises massive. He makes it 6K, and I don't think I can go anywhere just yet, so I make the call. The flop is 10-6-4 rainbow. Not the best flop, but definitely not the worst. So when he bets 4,000, I choose to make the call once again. And thank God I did, because the turn is the 7 of clubs. And at this point, now that he's checked to me, I've pretty much ruled out all strong hands in his range. So I choose to get a little sneaky and check back here. Before the river comes the 6 of diamonds. He checks to me once again, and I think he's repping a lot of ace high type hands that might literally not believe me. I bet 15,000 and my opponent is instantly not happy. Then he starts to talk. It was a little crazy too, because this tank was in total over 5 minutes long. With everyone else on dinner break, no one called the clock. But after weighing out all of his options, he does choose to make the call.
Hold. Whoa.
I start to scoop in a big pot before my thoughts are interrupted by none other than Papa Americano.
She's gonna make everybody miserable.
No.
Damn, Papa, why not now? Then, still feeling pretty excited about that last hand, I go on dinner break.
Shit, I'm late. Coming back from dinner break. I got, I don't know, like a billion big blinds. Like 70 big blinds. And I have a new career accomplishment. I sent someone into the longest tank of my life. Let's do that again. Let's go.
When I came back, I was feeling centered and ready to go. Then I instantly played 2 hands where I realistically could have bluffed on both boards. But in the nick of time, I realized that I had just enough showdown to take the more passive route each time. This of course meant that I lost the first one and won the second, but in both cases, I did get to showdown as cheaply as possible with a marginal made hand, which kind of made me happy because that means I'm getting better. Then in the next hand I play under the gun 1 limps for 2,000 before I make it 7k in the hijack with ace queen offsuit. The button makes the call, and so does under the gun 2. That's pretty fishy, but the flop comes above average in the form of ace queen 5 rainbow. Early position checks, and I make it 6,000 before the button folds. Maybe he was set mining? And the early position player makes the call. The turn is the 10 of clubs, and he checks to me once again before I bet 15,000. After a bit of a tank, he does make the call. And the river's the 8 of hearts. That shouldn't really change anything. So when he checks it to me once again, I bet 25,000 this time before he makes the fold. Still though, pots are being pushed our way, so I'm happy. But it wouldn't always be as easy as that. In this next hand, I'm the initial raiser in the hijack with pocket 10s. I make it 5,500 before the button 3-bets me to 14k. The small blind then makes the call, and considering the button was pretty tight, I make the call as well. The flop comes king 3-5 with 2 spades. Small blind checks, I check, and the button goes all in for 45k. The small blind snap folds, but I'm not as easily convinced. If he really had a value hand, like ace king or aces, why would he take this sizing? I just think it's kind of fishy because with this specific opponent's stack to pot ratio, I think he just wants to be all in on turn, which to me weights him more towards draws right now. I don't know, I'm just unconvinced, so I make the call. And sure enough, he shows me ace queen of spades. Still though, we gotta dodge a lot. So I am so relieved when the turn comes the 9 of hearts and the river comes the 8 of diamonds, securing us a nice spot.
I had to think about that one. I don't know why he would choose that sizing with ace king. I don't know.
I'm stacking my chips and can't even stop recording before I'm instantly thrown into a very big pot the next hand. This time, I have pocket jacks in the low jack. Under the gun 2 makes it 5k before I 3-bet to 15k. He makes the call and we go heads up to a flop of 10-5-6 rainbow. He checks to me and I bet 11,000, to which he makes the call. The turn's the queen of clubs and he checks it to me once again before I bet 20,000 and he makes the fold. We are now starting to grow a stack, which is obviously a good thing, but as my chip count goes up, so does the propensity for me to plot and scheme, which could get kind of dangerous. A couple hands later and I'm in the big blind. The cutoff opens to 6,500 and I look down at ace 10 offsuit. That's definitely gonna be a call. And we go heads up to a flop of ace 9-5 rainbow. I check it over to him and he bets 5,000, to which I make the call. Standard so far. The turn is the 8 of clubs and when I check to him, he checks behind, which is important because the river comes the 7 of clubs and I check to him once again before he bets 28,000. I did not see that coming. I check my cards once again, praying I have a club to justify this call. I don't. Make the call anyway.
Okay, you get one for the call.
Well, that's a good sign. He shows me pocket kings. With a club, I might add. Then after this, I go a bit card dead, and maybe an hour or two later, our table breaks, which means we are a lot closer to being in the money. At this point, I would say we're about 10 people away, but everyone is pretty deep, so there's still a long way to go. At this point in the tournament though, my strategy is to kind of pick and choose your battles. You don't want to be risking chips unnecessarily, but you also want to put yourself in situations to chip up, as this will help you when the actual bubble comes around. I wish I would have taken my own advice in this next hand though. Under the gun 2 opens to 2 big blinds, and when I look down at queen deuce offsuit, I can actually probably just fold. But I call, and the flop comes queen 10-10. However, it checks through. The turn comes the 3 of clubs, bringing in the flush. So I check once again, only for my opponent to bet 5,000 this time. Bruh, I can't fold for that price. I make the call. Then the river comes the king of hearts, and I check once again, praying to get to showdown, before my opponent bets 20,000. It's probably just a fold. I beat like the naked ace of clubs, I guess. But I'm also chopping with a lot of his other queens, so I do make the call. And he does have a queen, but he has queen 10 for a full house. Oops. This next hand is kind of interesting, but only because I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I make it 11,000 on the button with ace 3 offsuit. Standard so far, but both the small blind and the big blind make the call. The flop comes ace deuce 5 rainbow, and when they check to me, I bet 11,000 with only the small blind making the call. The turn's the 7 of diamonds, and when he checks it to me this time, I actually check back, rationalizing that I literally have the worst ace I'll ever have here. And the river comes the 7 of spades. He checks to me, and maybe I go for a small bet here, but again, my kicker literally doesn't even play on this board. So I check back, and he shows me pocket 10s. The reason why I included it though was because then he proceeds to huff and puff and tell me how that's the most egregious hand of poker he's ever heard in his entire life. Which leads me to ask, are you guys triple barreling with ace 3 offsuit there? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, back to the narrative. Oh man, this hand's gonna be brutal. I raise under the gun with ace queen hearts. Cutoff makes the call before the button makes it 42,000. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know shit about this guy, but I do know that he's chip leader on the soft bubble when we're playing short-handed. So it can't always be aces, right? That's why I choose to go for a 4-bet to 85,000. I mean, that just looks so strong, right? Cutoff quickly folds, and then he jams it in my face. Okay, you got me. I fold. He did later tell me that he had ace king, but I don't know if that's true or not. Then I play another battle pot with the same small blind as before, except this time I'm on the button with ace 10 offsuit before making it 11,000 once again. Just like before, both the small blind and the big blind make the call. And we go tray white to a flop of ace jack 8 with 2 clubs. They both check to me, and I make it 18,000, to which, once again, only the small blind makes the call. The turn comes the queen of spades, and he checks to me once again before I bet 35,000. He makes the call. The river is the 9 of clubs, and he excitedly goes all in. I double check to make sure that I do indeed have a straight before quickly making the call, only to find out that he called me down on 2 straights with queen 10 offsuit. No club.
I'm tired of chopping pot. I'm tired of it.
I think if he can call with that, then I'm the one that should be tilted that I didn't go for more value with the ace 3 from before. But whatever. Immediately after this hand, I look up and my nightmare becomes reality. I look to see which table is breaking, and I'm like, please don't give me my friend. Please don't give me my friend. He sits down right to my right.
No! This is bad news for the team.
And I love this guy, don't get me wrong, but I did literally just text him the ace-queen hand history. So am I in love with the fact that he knows that I have 4-bet folds Not really, but it is what it is. Soon, we're 6 people away from making the money and we go on break.
Guys, be honest, what would you do if you walked up to me in a casino and I was looking like this? Yes, I'm upside down. This is what I look like to the other people in this room, but I am so sore and I think we got a long way to go, so gotta hang in. There are currently 27 people left, but 21 make the money. So we are getting to a very important stage of this tournament and I'm getting very tired. It's 2 a.m., but we gotta lock in. There's still 6 more people that need to go.
When we come back from break, I'm getting dealt these like insane hands that would be so perfect to find a double on the bubble. But not only do I get to walk once, I get to walk twice.
Ooh, battle pot. I haven't looked.
Take a walk.
Oh, come on now.
Double down. Face down.
Man, that's all these dumbass hands.
Actually, I changed my mind. I shouldn't complain about free chips, but I'm just trying to bag a stack, brother. Now, we're on the stone bubble.
Okay, we are now hand for hand. I forgot I was supposed to be vlogging because it's literally 3:30 in the morning, but hopefully we can squeak into the money.
If one more person busts, we will make the money and secure at least a min cash of around $1,500. Considering we were only in for one bullet, that's a pretty nice payday. But soon I would get involved in a pot with the chip leader that could change everything.
Ooh, hopefully I get a polarized hand.
Jack 10 of hearts is really, really annoying because I have to call, but I'm in this hand versus the chip leader. So because we're on the stone bubble, I have to expect a ton of pressure. The flop comes 10-5-3 rainbow, and I check to him before he bets 15,000. I make the call, and the turn comes the 9 of hearts. I check to him, really, really hoping he checks back, and fortunately for me, he does. The river comes the 9 of diamonds, and I actually think about a block bet, but choose to just check, and thank God the chip leader checks behind.
I was stressed. I'm always stressed on the stone. Shut the fuck. I tell you this one time, and now, oh my God.
It's like such a good thing to have your friends at the table, but it's also the most annoying thing in the world. Maybe 20 or so minutes later though, the bubble does end up bursting, and we bag a very healthy chip stack of 20 big blinds going into day 2. At this point, it's so late, and I'm a little bit delirious, but I'm also really happy.
It is, I don't even know what time. We are in the money. Jesus Christ. Be back Sunday, whatever. I'll see you later.
It always feels so good to cash a tournament, and it feels even better to not have a super small stack. It's time to lock in and make something happen.
See you on day 2.
Oh my God, it's day 2. I'm so excited. We have the chance to fight for $44,000 up top today. And honestly, it's not every day that you get in a position like that. We have 20 big blinds and a really big dream, so let's get after it. When I woke up on the morning of the day 2, I instantly checked the Borgata Twitter to see that we were fighting for $44,000 up top. That is a lot of money. But since I have 20 big blinds to start the day, I'm optimistic that I can spin that up and turn it into a deep run. However, there would be a long way to go. I take my seat, unbag my chips, and am preparing to battle today. I scan my table chip stacks, and it seems to me that the other side of the table has a lot of short stacks. But unfortunately, on my half of the table, I have every single deep stack in the tournament. That's gonna be a problem.
Boy, I really hope I don't need to use that B-roll.
Yeah, unfortunately, I almost needed to use this because in the very first hand, I'm dealt pocket 8s in early position. You would think that that'd be a pretty good open. Nope. I jam and pretty much pray for a fold? I don't know. It folds around to this old man who raises to 25,000.
That's not.
We're gonna need a floor.
They call the floor, deal his 25,000 as pretty much dead money. He folds, and then the guy next to act unfortunately wakes up with a hand that he is more than willing to go all in with. Any guesses? Yep, It's pocket aces.
Oh, okay, that's not.
Alright, we got
Well.
1, 2.
The board runs out clean. For him, anyway.
Alright, aces are gonna hold.
We are left with literally 6 big blinds.
Tough start.
That is for you.
And it's kind of sick because my video literally doesn't even stop rolling when the very next hand, I'm under the gun with ace-9 offsuit. I mean, I'm not folding.
This could be a very quick tournament for me.
It folds to the big blind, who recognized that I was vlogging and, in totally good fun, picks up his cards to let me sweat.
Should I look at the second one?
If you want.
He shows me ace-deuce offsuit and flicks in the call. But at that exact moment, this happens.
Alright, that's a muff. You already showed your hand.
It's a muff.
Well, if you show your hand, it's a muff.
The floor is called, he gets a warning,
Oh boy.
We're making you work today, sorry.
and then the board runs out, where we frickin' chop. Oh my god, I can't catch a break.
Choppy, choppy.
Yikes. I run so good.
At this point, I have 2 big blinds left on the button. I'm dealt king 10 of hearts, which means I only have 1 move.
Intimidating raise, I know, but
Works for me.
23?
Unsurprisingly, the chip leader in the big blind calls,
No, you
Boom.
didn't miss too much, because that was yours also.
and we managed to more than double our stack to a whopping 5.5 big blinds. Next hand, hijack opens to 27,000. I look down at pocket 9s and jam 72,000, to which the hijack does make the call. He has queen 10 of hearts, but we flop a boat. And soon I have 174,000, which is good for 14.5 big blinds.
Got the lead with 9 lives over here. Straight through the tips of the cards.
that seems
All
fair.
right,
That
good
seems
deal,
like a
right?
fair one.
Running.
Big.
So she's basically back to where she started almost. So she could have showed up like 7 minutes late.
Literally.
True, but I mean, how could I have predicted this? Then it folds to the small blind and he limps before I look down at pocket aces. I raise really small, just praying that he'll at least make the call, but he pretty quickly folds. 1 orbit later though, we do get some action. The small blind limps once again and I look down at 9-10 offsuit. I check and the flop comes king 10-5 with 2 diamonds. The small blind checks to me and I check it behind. The turn is the 3 of spades though, and this time he bets 22,000. I'm unconvinced and think he could be doing this with a lot. I don't even know why I'm trying to justify this. This is so standard. I call. Then the river comes the 5 of clubs, and the small blind bets 38,000. After thinking it over, I choose to make the call, and the small blind just mucks? Hey, I'll take it. I mean, I'm never gonna be mad about winning a pot at showdown. Then I'm dealt pocket 8s again and play a hand that would change everything. The under the gun player that I've been pretty much battling with all day opens to 2.2 big blinds. I choose to just call this time and the big blind calls as well. The flop comes king queen 8 with 2 clubs. Big blind checks before the under the gun player bets 65,000. I did think about a raise here for a second, but I like call better, especially versus this opponent as he had a propensity to, you know, put money in the pot for me. So that's exactly what I do. I make the call and the big blind folds. The turn is the 10 of clubs and my opponent checks it over to me. Given my stack size, if I were to go all in here, I'd actually only be jamming for about 70% pot. So that's exactly what I do. I'm trying to put max pressure on his marginal holdings. And after fading the snap, I'm pretty sure that that is exactly what he has. But this is where I don't really know how to describe what happens. My head wants a call, but my heart is telling me that if I get one, I'm gonna lose this hand. I don't know how to describe it. It's not a superstitious thing. It's like I'm rooting for the call every day of the week, but I know when it comes, I'm gonna be heartbroken. My opponent does end up making the call with exactly the type of hand I thought he would. King Jack offsuit with no club. Only a 9 or an ace can save him. And the river's an ace. Silence. Except for this.
Almost a sick little spin it for 2 big ones.
As I walk to the cage, my heart is just breaking. I collect my payout and am simultaneously trying to catch my head up to the speed at which my heart is moving.
I can't even like talk right now. I just want to like throw up. I mean, he's not dead, but like, he doesn't even have a club. Like, he's so dead.
It wasn't meant to be, I guess. On to the next.